Okay, recording, because there might be one or two people who will watch later but can't come to class today. For your first homework assignment, email me anytime in the next 2-3 days. Do you guys want to have class next week, Tuesday, which is November 23rd? That is the week of Thanksgiving. They have not scheduled us for a class next week. Some people may be traveling. The only reason I ask is I would just say, let's have a class. But some people may be traveling on the road. And if even one person says, I'm out of town and I really don't want you to do class because I really don't want to miss it, I will have to say, we wait. It has to be an all or nothing. All or nothing, guys, you know, no pressure, but no pressure, but okay. So, but just tell me and we'll figure something out, because if you need another couple sessions, we can like go over into the like past the December 14th last class. So we've got some options we can play with. Okay. But I would like to have class if we can, but I really need to make sure that everybody is on the same page and can do November 23rd. So if you know you're traveling and you say, I really don't want to do this in a hotel room or my in-laws house or wherever it is you're going to be, then I don't want to shortchange people, you know, just across the board things. So email me sometime this week. Okay. Muy bien. Vamos a practicar muchísimo. We're going to practice with a lot of things today. Pages you should have handy. I'm going to do a share screen so you know which actual physical file or paper. This thing that had all these words, this file I sent to you, it's got all the words for practicing sounds. Whether you bring that up on the computer, which is just fine, you can put two screens up at the same time, or you have a physical copy handy. Either way, make sure you got that handy in the next couple of minutes, okay? We're gonna go through real quickly because this won't take long. The letters Y, which is called Y. The che is gonna take hardly any time at all. The day, and these are the biggies we need to cover today. H, H, J, J, L, the double L, N, the nya sound. That one will be easy. And ke, what ke do? Because those combinations, they're obviously not single letters, but those those letter combinations of QUE or QUI will do something specific. So we're going to cover those today. So make sure you check that out, kind of figure out where you have that page and have it handy in the next couple of minutes. Okay, little roadmap. So we know what we're doing today. We're going to do some pronunciation. We're going to use this idea of se llama. I'm going to put it in the chat box. So you'll want to turn that on. Me llamo. Ways to talk about yourself. Se llama. Ways to talk about other people. And these are not single words. Me llamo is a two-word combo, but we use them together as a word cluster or word chunk, word phrase. Se llama is another chunk. We use me llamo to talk about ourselves. We use se llama to talk about somebody else. One of the things I asked you to do was to introduce yourself to the group, which you're going to do eventually. We're going to do some warm up to that. Talk about yourself, introduce yourself to the group, and talk about one other family member. So that se llama is going to come in when you talk about somebody else. So before you personally volunteer to do that, I will do my example and we're going to do some other virtual examples. So you're not just like, yeah, throw you in the water, start swimming. You'll hear lots of examples. We're going to talk about gender, words being masculine, feminine, some clues that might help you with that. You watch some videos, hopefully, on that during the week. We're going to talk about how to make nouns, how to talk about nouns in a plural sense. So in other words, turning, pluma, pen, into pens, more than one, stuff like that. And then we're going to, I hope we get to talking about these three really essential verbs, which are going to be talking, we used to talk about something is a certain way, or somebody is, and you give their name. How to say he is, she is, I am. There are actually three verbs we're going to use. They're going to be ser and estar, which both mean to be. That's problematic for almost everybody. And the verb hay, which means there are or there is, and that is a very generic verb. So hay, H-A-Y, will be easy to use. Okay, let's warm up with a little bit of pronunciation. So we're going to warm up with that first. We're going to move to talking about introduction second, and then we're going to get into this jumble of gender and plural of nouns. I'm going to put up on the screen what we're going to practice. We're going to start with this Y. Y is one of the few very lonely little lonely little letters that does get more than one pronunciation sound, but they're pretty easy to learn. So we don't have to do this a gazillion times. What the sound that the Y, that's the name for the letter Y, makes depends on where it falls in the word. If it's the very last letter of the word, it'll sound like this E sound, E, E, E. So if Y, the Y, is the very last letter of a word, it'll sound like E. Yay, that's not too hard. So we're going to practice these down here, the a la izquierda, the ones on the left, okay? The E, E, E sound. So I want you to just repeat these after me. I. I. And you'll notice we do not pronounce an H. Okay, we will only pronounce an H. It will only make a sound when it's a combo with CH. But if the H stands alone, we will ignore it. We write it in spelling, but we don't say the letter H. So I is a verb all by itself, and it's really useful because it means there is or there are. But it's that specific combination of there is, there are. And I never changes form. It's always the same word. It's, we technically change there is or there are, but we only use I. And this just talks about something exists. It's out there. So you're going to get a whole video about the word I to watch for homework for the coming week. And we'll hopefully talk about a little about it today. I. Okay, the next word is the word for today. Hoy.
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 Hoy. And that Y makes an E sound at the hoy. Hoy. Okay. Next is a word that we use a lot because it means very. So when somebody says, oh, very good or very well, they'll use this word muy. You'll hear muy with muy bien. Muy bien. Okay, muy bien, very well. Okay, and next is just a fun word to practice. If you go to Peru, if you ever go to Peru, this is something they serve you as a delicacy in Peru. I know, hard to think of those cute little things. Yeah, cuy. Okay, so Y at the end sounds like E. Any place else, it'll sound like you think it should in English. Yeah. Yay. So we'll breeze through these, but as we breeze through this Y that sounds like a yeah, I want you to concentrate on these vowels. A, E, I, O, U. We're going to recycle all those vowel sounds. In Spanish, more than in a lot of languages, it is really, really super importante, really important that you get those vowel sounds consistently the same. A, always a, always e, o, always o, e, always e, and u, always u. If you are consistent with your vowels, your chance of messing up or being misunderstood goes way, way, way down. You have a much better chance of being understood properly if all your vowels are pure and always consistent. So you have to fight your English brain's desire to anglicize those sounds. Because if you anglicize a, e, o, u, and you start to let the a of English slip in, the a of English slip in, you will be misunderstood. They will not know the word you're saying. Okay, so let's recycle our vowels, and we're going to throw in the y sound now. Mayo.
Mayo.
Mayo. Okay.
Mayo.
Another easy one. Playa.
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 Okay. An indigenous group from long ago. Maya.
Maya.
And you'll notice this is where that vowel thing comes in. Maya means something very different than mayo. They're very different. They don't mean anything close to being the same thing. Okay. And a word for that we use sometimes to talk about yesterday. Ayer.
Ayer.
Ayer. Perfecto. Okay. CH we're going to breeze through because it sounds like it does in English. Fácil. But I want you to focus again on combining your ch sound with recycling all those vowels back in. Okay. And CH is the only way that H gets to make a sound in Spanish, if it's that combination. Ch. Okay. So chico.
Chico.
Chico. The word for boy.
Oh.
Chocolate.
Chocolate.
Chocolate. And you'll notice that that E at the end that goes silent in English does not in Spanish. Chocolate. 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 Next, we've got a word we use a lot because it means much. Mucho.
Mucho.
And notice that mucho sometimes will morph its ending. So like when we say muchas gracias, many thanks. Yeah, mucho might change to the different form, a feminine and a plural form of muchas. You will hear mucho morph and change its form from time to time. Rancho. Don't worry about the R. Rancho. And if all you can do is rancho, be okay with that for now. That trilled R is an acquired skill. I will send you a video this week on how to roll your R. Some people have no problem doing it, and other people who can't say, oh my God, how did you do that? I have a super duper great video that shows you what to do with your tongue and all the parts of your mouth to do a rolled R this week. Okay, rancho. Somebody will understand you if you can't trill the R, but it's better if you can. Rancho means what you think. Okay. Another ch word, chiste.
Chiste.
Another ch word, chicle.
Chicle.
The gum you chew. Okay. I'm going to point out with this letter D, and this is not a deal breaker. This is a fine point. So we're going to go through this kind of quickly because of time constraints, but just know that if you can refine it and maybe go back and work on this a little bit this week, it will help, but it's not a deal breaker if you don't get the D exactly right. Okay. When it'll sound like an English D, okay? It's a little bit softer. Your tongue comes a little bit further to the front of your teeth. D, right back there. When D is next to a consonant, something that's not A, E, I, O, U, it will get that sound that you expect, okay? So we've got words like donde,
Donde.
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 We've got words like drama.
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 Yeah.
Drama.
You notice a D is next to an N, a consonant. Cuando.
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 Oh, we've got a really helpful word. People use this word a lot, the word for big or large. Grande.
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 Grande. Bien. And the word for inside, dentro.
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 Dentro. Okay. Sometimes, however, D goes into a much softer sound. And it goes into a much softer sound, which is like a TH. The. If it's in between two vowels, or if it's hanging off the end of the word, it's the very last letter of a word. This is not a deal breaker. This will not confuse somebody if you do this D wrong, but I just want you to know, because you will hear it. You will hear it as we move on, and you will go through more and more videos, and as you hear me speak, okay? This word, which means truth, but people always also use this word to say, really? If what you want to say is, oh, really? Is that right? You use this word, which means truth. And the first D is going to be a harder D, but the end D is going to be a the. So listen to how I say this. Verdad.
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 Yeah. Okay. Vale. The word for each or every, cada.
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 If you say cada, people will understand you, but it will sound a little off to them. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Cada. Cada.
Cada.
Okay. Here's a word that means I can. Puedo.
Puedo.
Puedo. Puedo.
Puedo.
Puedo.
And the next one has a D hanging off the end. So the D off the end will sound like a th. Libertad.
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 Liberty,
Libertad.
freedom. Okay. Yeah. Not a deal breaker, but practice that a little this week. I'll try to find a video for you on that. These we're going to focus on a little bit before we get into the introduction thing, because we're going to have this introduction word sound here. So we're going to do these first. Okay. Actually, unless it's combined with the CH. And the CH, by the way, used to be a separate letter in the Spanish alphabet. They, in the last 10 years, have taken that out. But H by itself makes no sound at all. It is the only truly silent letter in the Spanish language. That happens in French too. But H will be silent. You'll see a word with it, but they won't pronounce it. So let's go through these words again. Hoy.
Hoy.
You have to, and it's very hard for English speakers to ignore that H word. It's a great big fat elephant sitting in the room. Okay, so let's try the next one. I. Here's the thing you hear mispronounced in old 1930s, 1940s Western movies all the time. Hombres. Oh my God, awful. Hombre. Hombre, man. And you've already seen that word in this book. Hombre. Okay. Next, a word that means what you think. Honor. Even if the H slips into the middle of the word, it won't make a sound. This is really hard for English speakers. This is a great big elaborate palace in the southern part of Spain. And we pronounce, you'll hear this as Alhambra, or people who live in California near this town with the same name. It is not Alhambra, it is Alhambra.
Alhambra.
Okay.
Alhambra.
And now this is going to point out to you why getting those vowels a, e, I, o, u is so important. Hombre means one specific thing, but hambre means something entirely different. It's our only different by an o and an a, an o and an a. Our next word is hambre.
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 When somebody asks you, ¿Tienes hambre? They're asking, do you have hunger? And that's the way they ask, are you hungry? ¿Tienes hambre? Sí, tengo hambre. Tengo hambre. I'm hungry. Tengo hambre. Literally, I have hunger. Okay. Here's a word that has an H, but we're going to ignore it. And it's in some of our goodbye words. Hasta.
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 Hasta literally means
Hasta.
until. So hasta luego, see you later. Hasta mañana, see you tomorrow. Hasta pronto, see you soon. And this H in the middle is really hard to ignore. Almohada. Almohada is a pillow. Almohada. And here is the stuff we drink. This word came from Arabic originally. Alcohol.
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 Oh God.
We drag the O out because we've got two O's separated by an H. Alcohol.
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 Waiters might ask you if you drink alcohol or tiene alcohol. This has alcohol because some people can't have it or don't want to have it. Okay, so H, we ignore it. J, J will not sound like J, ever. It will make only one sound, that throaty H. It's an H. If all you can do is an English H, a H, that's okay. But better to get H. You want to work towards H. It's like a phlegm wad that wants to come up here. H, H, okay? So lots of words get this J sound, and you have to work really hard not to make a J sound. This word will be ojo.
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 All right.
Ojo.
Ojo is okay, but ojo is better. Ojo.
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 Okay.
Ojo.
Ojo.
A J may start off a word. Jamón.
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 Ham. J starts out the word. Jabón.
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 Jabón. Soap.
Jabón.
Okay. This word means somebody who is not tall, somebody who is short, short in height. Bajo.
Bajo.
Ajo.
Bajo. This one is tough because the J comes at the end. It's this thing, or one of these things that sits on your wall in a room, right? Reloj.
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 This is kind of like the ch you get like in the Scottish word Loch Ness. Think of it, if a true person pronounces Loch Ness properly, it's Lach. Yeah. Yeah. Reloj. Reloj. Okay. Here's another word with a J. Mejor.
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 Which means better. Mejor. Better.
Mejor.
Yeah. Here's the word for the word Thursday. Jueves.
Jueves.
Jueves. Jueves.
Muy bien.
Jueves.
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 Here's another important word because it means woman. Like hombre means man. Here's the word for woman. Mujer.
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 Bien. And here's a great big long word, and it means to work. It's the base verb that means to work, not I'm working or you're working, but just to work, right? The action of working. Trabajar.
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 Trabajar. Bien, bien, bien. J, the J. Okay. Now we're going to tackle this one. I'm going to tell you right now that elye. Elye used to be a separate letter. It is no longer, but it will, a range of pronunciations is acceptable for the elye. A range, because there are regional variations. Sometimes even north of Mexico may pronounce this slightly different than central or southern Mexico. That's how much it can vary, okay? I'm going to give you 3 variations. Use 2. The last one I don't want you to use. So we're going to come do the 3rd one first. Only in the Buenos Aires region of Argentina. Only in Buenos Aires, people from the Buenos Aires area pronounce this very, very strongly. Je, like Dr. Zhivago, je. Don't do that one because it's a limited number of people who use it. But know that if you hear it, ooh, that person's from Buenos Aires. Yeah. It is a very strong accented sound. So 2 gradations are considered kind of universal and very widely accepted. And the one variation is y, like a letter Y, like the y of yellow. The other one has a very, very slight j before the y. Okay. So I'm going to do the first one so you hear both variations, and either one is acceptable and okay, because people know that this letter makes different sounds depending on where somebody grows up, what somebody is used to. That first word might sound like llama, llama, llama,
Llama.
Llama.
which is okay,
Llama.
or llama, llama.
Llama.
Llama, but not a strong j, not a strong llama. The y is more
Llama.
pronounced than the j. Llama.
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 That is what I personally use. So you will hear a little teeny tiny j with a y sound. Llama. Llama.
Ah,
But llama with just the y is perfectly okay. Bien? All right? Okay. And I'm going to try to go to the more the side of the y, so to make it less confusing. Llama. Repitan. Llama.
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 Llave.
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 Calle. Calle.
Calle.
IJ.
Calle.
Calle.
Calle. Bien. Okay. The word for chicken. Pollo.
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 Bien. Bien. The word for chair. Silla.
Silla.
The word for yellow, and this is a long word, so we're going to say it slowly. Amarillo.
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 Una vez, one more time
Amarillo.
with this one. Amarillo.
Amarillo.
Bien. Vale.
Amarillo.
Oh, if you're asking somebody about the size of clothing in a store, you want a medium instead of a large, or a large instead of a small. Here's the word for clothing size. Talla.
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 Talla. Talla.
Here's the word for to cry. Llorar.
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 Ah,
And here's a common word you hear a lot when people talk about here or there, here or there. The word for there is allí.
Allí.
ahí.
Allí.
Allí.
Bien. Okay. You're going to use this y sound when you talk about me llamo and se llama. You're going to use this a lot today. Okay. We're going to cover 2 more real quickly. Nya, nya, nya. This is truly a separate letter. It's an N with a squiggle at the top. In Old Latin, it used to be a double N. And little monks in the Middle Ages started saving parchment by writing a little squiggly N over the top of the first N. And well, there it is. But it makes a different sound in Spanish. It is the ñ of canyon. People don't have trouble with this. People have trouble with ch. People forget to ignore the H. People have it and they do la 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 instead of yeah, but almost nobody forgets nya. Okay, so here we go. We're going to practice this word. People don't have trouble with this. I know you will find this easy. Cañón.
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 Because we do this sometimes in English. We
Cañón.
just don't spell it that way, right? Cañón. Oh, baño.
Baño.
Año.
Baño. It's like an
Baño.
N and a Y next to each other. Baño.
Año.
Daño.
Baño.
Daño.
Año.
Oh, the
Niño.
word for a
Niño.
little boy. Niño.
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 Niño. Niño. Niño.
Niño.
Niño is usually very young in age, younger than chico. Chico is, I don't know, 7 and up. Niño is really little boys, okay, usually younger. Año.
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 No.
Year. Really important to get that word right, año, because there is a
Año.
word, there isn't a word that means this.
Oh,
Mm.
Yeah, don't want to mispronounce that. Otherwise, you talk about what we poop out of. Okay. Okay, año. Bien. Oh, this word you know already. Mañana.
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 Another word that means size, not for clothing, but like the size of a building or the size of this sheet of paper, right? Tamaño.
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 No.
Here's something we eat. Piña.
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 Here's this. Uña.
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 You've got ña. Fácil, easy, right? See? Okay. One more. Que, ki. When you get these letter combinations, we're going to ignore the U. We're going to ignore the U. This is one, I told you that once in a while, U goes silent. Once in a while. This is one of the once in a while. There are like 2. This is one of them. When you see QUE or QUI, we ignore the U. So they're going to sound like this. Que, and ki. Que, QUE, ki, QUI. Bien? Okay. We're going to practice these. The word for what is que.
Que.
Okay.
Que.
Okay. Okay.
The word for who is quién.
And quién.
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 The word for a number, 15. Quince.
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 The way we say I want, not you want, not he wants, but I want. Quiero.
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 Quiero. So you're seeing
Quiero.
we ignore the U. We don't pronounce the U. If it's QUE or QUI, we ignore that. Next, we've got a 2-word combo, but it means why. ¿Por qué?
¿Por qué?
¿Por qué?
¿Por qué?
¿Por qué?
Next, we've got another
Yeah.
food item, queso.
Eso.
Queso.
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 Next time you go to the cheese counter in the supermarket, you will find packages here in the Southwest that say queso. Queso. Queso crema, cream cheese kind of
Queso.
thing. Yeah, soft cheese. Next is the word for not 5, but 5th in line. Quinto.
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 Quinto. Quinto.
Quinto.
And this is a word that looks a lot like in English. It means what you think. Paquete.
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 Paquete. But you'll notice que,
Paquete.
que, ki,
Qui.
ki,
Qui.
ki. Yeah. Okay. Bien. Next week for homework, you're going to work on C and G because C and G, unlike these other letters, C gets 2 different sounds and G gets 2 different sounds. Okay. But they will follow the same patterns. The word after the C, or excuse me, the letter after the C or the letter after the G determines whether it's going to have a soft or a hard kind of sound. So I'm going to send you some videos on that this week, how to pronounce a C, how to pronounce the G when you see it written out. And it won't be hard. Most people pick this up pretty easy. And I want you to check that out for next week. Okay. ¿Alguna pregunta? Any question before we leave that little pronunciation? Sí or no?
No.
No?
No.
Bien?
No.
Okay. Vale. We're going to do some introduction stuff. Yay! Get ready. Be brave. Sean valientes, be brave. We're going to talk about how we do this introduction thing. And because there are different kinds of verbs we might use to introduce people and talk about who somebody is, to identify somebody, whether it's ourselves or somebody with us. Okay. So the formal question, well, ¿cómo se llama? And I'm gonna, I wonder if I can copy and cut that. Whoops. Yeah, bye. We're gonna add this in. Ooh. Oh, it's kind of sort of letting me do it. We'll downsize it a little bit. Yeah. Let's put this down to a more manageable size that will kind of sort of fit. We'll make this fit. Okay. You may hear these same combinations to talk about different people. ¿Cómo se llama él? What's his name? The él at the end there means he. Literally, how does he call himself? But we don't say that in English. Yeah, you can't translate word for word. Literally, it means how does he call himself? But we would express the same idea as what's his name. ¿Cómo se llama ella? What's her name? ¿Cómo se llama usted? What's your name? And that usted, remember, is the formal you. Anybody remember what's the familiar, the chummy you? Tú. Tú, right? That question can be phrased in a friendly way, like, oh, we're same age. ¿Cómo te llamas? Not como se llama, but ¿cómo te llamas? But adults who don't know each other will typically use the formal you. ¿Cómo se llama usted? ¿Cómo se llama usted? So we're going to use this to talk about people other than yourselves. But remember, sometimes we talk about flat out ourselves, right? Oops, perdón. A ver. Okay, so the way to talk about myself is me llamo. That's the word combination, right? Slightly different from se, not me, but se llama, right? Me llamo means my name is. I can express the same idea as mi nombre es, my name is, literally. That uses this little verb es. Uy, I messed myself up by making that big. Perdón, excuse me. Or soy. I am. All three of those can be used to say my name is. Me llamo Marilyn. Mi nombre es Marilyn. Soy Marilyn. Those all do the same thing. They allow me to tell you what my name is. Okay. And all three of those are correct. They're just using different kinds of verbs or verb phrases to express the same idea. Bien? We good so far? See? Okay. Okay. So when I talk about myself, I'll use the me llamo. But when I talk about somebody else, I can't use me llamo. I have to morph that phrase a little bit. You're going to see examples so that when you get to introducing yourself and somebody in your family, you can do that. Bien? Okay. Me llamo Marilyn, pero, but, se llama. If I talk about these guys, I have to change me llamo into se llama. Yeah. If I talk about this guy, I can talk about him with, need to move my things a little bit. Okay. So, por ejemplo, se llama Hugh Jackman. I can also just say, es Hugh, it's Hugh. Or I can say, well, no, just es Hugh, it's Hugh. Or su nombre es Hugh, his name is Hugh. Any three of those sentences are used to identify who's that guy in the picture. Bien? Se llama Hugh Jackman, es Hugh, it's Hugh, su nombre es Hugh. Bien? Okay. If I talk about this guy, un actor, se llama, his name is, se llama Tom Hiddleston, es Tom, he's Tom, su nombre es Tom, his name is Tom. Bien? Okay. Otros ejemplos. If I talk about a woman, I'm obviously not Jennifer Lawrence. Okay, so if I talk about her, I use me llamo Marilyn, my name is Marilyn, pero talking about her, se llama Jennifer Lawrence. Her name is. Es Jennifer. Su nombre es Jennifer. Bien? If I talk about this woman, se llama, not me llamo, I am not Scarlett Johansson. Se llama, her name is, se llama Scarlett Johansson. Es Scarlett. Su nombre es Scarlett. Bien? Okay. Bueno. Let's go with, un momentito. Let's go with a bigger picture. Now we're gonna do, here's our next baby step up. I'm gonna, what an old picture. Look at all that dark hair. Okay, here's an old family's picture. Es mi familia, it's my family. Es mi familia, see? Es la familia de mi esposo. It's my husband's family. Okay. I could identify myself. Can you see my cursor hovering around my nice dark-haired self many years ago? Yeah. Me llamo Marilyn. Me llamo, my name tag thing. Me llamo Marilyn. See? Se llama Kevin. Kevin es mi esposo. Kevin is my spouse, husband. See? Se llama José. Se llama José. Mi hijo. Mi hijo.
Brother.
Se llama José. Es
Brother.
José.
Son.
He'd
Son.
kill me if he knew I was showing that picture. Mi hija.
Yeah.
Se
Mother.
llama María.
My sister is Maria.
Oh, no. Mi
Daughter.
hija.
Daughter.
Mi hija se llama María. Es María. Es María. Su nombre es María. ¿Bien? Bien. Ok, vale. Aquí.
Sister.
Hermana.
Es la hermana de Kevin. Es
Kevin's
la
sister.
hermana de
Hermanos.
Kevin. She's Kevin's
Sister.
sister. Es la hermana de Kevin. Se llama Mara. Se llama Mara. Mara is. I'm going to identify who she is. Mara es la hermana de Kevin. ¿Bien?
Mhm.
Ok,
Eh,
vale. Bueno. Bien. El hombre, the man.
Man.
El hombre es el
Padre.
padre de Kevin.
Kevin's father.
Exacto, muy bien. Se llama Charlie. Se
His name
llama
is Charlie.
Charlie es el padre de Kevin. Su nombre es Charlie. ¿Bien? Ok. La mujer, the woman. La
Mhm.
mujer, ¿sí? Es la madre de Kevin.
Kevin's mother.
Exacto. Es la madre de Kevin. La madre de Kevin se llama, her name is, se llama Mariana. Se
Mariana.
llama Mariana.
Mariana.
Mariana es la madre de Kevin. Es la mamá de Kevin, ¿sí? Es el papá, Charlie es el papá de Kevin. Mariana es la mamá de Kevin. ¿Entienden?
Mhm.
Understand?
Bien.
¿Sí? Bien. Okay. I would like you to try to introduce yourselves. Me llamo for the group. Volunteer. And just name somebody in your family. And tell who they are. And do as much as you can. And I'll help you coach you along if you have an issue with it. Anybody want to be brave and start? Okay. Dashu. Primero. O primera.
Me llama Darshu Dalal. Mi madre, la Urmila,
Se llama.
se llama.
Se llama.
Se
Now.
llama Urmila.
Bien. Now, Darshu, when you say my name is, I want you to keep an O at the end of llamo. So we're going to do that little part one more time. Me llamo.
Oh, me
Ah,
llamo.
me llamo. Me
Me
llamo.
llamo.
When I talk about somebody else, the llamo turns to llama.
Llama.
Ah, what a tiny difference, but it makes difference. So, me llamo.
Me
and
llamo. Me
se
llamo.
Me llamo.
Me llamo Darshu Dalal.
Me llamo y se llama. Bien, perfecto. Muy bien, muy bien. Somebody else want to be brave? Sí. No,
Sí.
oh, ok, bueno, sí, CJ.
Mi nombre es Catalina. Mi madre se llama Mary.
Perfecto. Marie.
Tengo, I'm ready. Tengo 3 hermanos y 4 hermanas.
Wow, perfecto. Muy bien, CJ.
Muy grande familia.
Una familia muy grande. Sí, bien. Tienes una familia muy grande. And notice she said tengo. Eres muy avanzada. You're very advanced. Tengo, I have. Okay. So she went even a step further than what I asked you to, but you saw some of that in the book. So
Yeah.
if you can go with that, great. If you can't, no se preocupen, go with what you can. Muy bien, CJ. Okay, alguien más. Anybody else want to try?
I can go.
Okay, magnífico, Padmini.
Me llama Padmini. Tengo un hijo y una hija.
Excelente.
Got 1 son and 1 daughter?
Yes.
Okay.
Bien.
Yay, we understood each other. That's great.
Bien. Padmini, ¿cómo se llama tu hijo? ¿Cómo se
Se
llama?
llama Arjun and
¿Cómo se llama tu hija?
se llama Dia.
Excelente. Muy bien.
Gracias.
De nada, de nada. You're welcome. Okay.
Full
alguien-
conversation.
Sí. The baby steps, we have to take baby steps to get up to, higher. You just have to get out there. The one thing to always remember, it is okay to make mistakes. This is how we just learned, oh, let's change this little thing. And then we try it again. This is life. This is what happens. If an 18-month-old, a 2-year-old mispronounces a word, we don't slap them up and no, we just tell, oh no, you say it this way. Of course, this is how we do it. This is how we do it. Okay, yeah. Anybody else want to be brave and give it a try? Algo, sí, Liza. Liza or Lisa? ¿Cómo se pronuncia? And you have to take yourself off of mute, Liza, because you're on mute. Bien, okay, you should be off of mute now.
Got it. All right.
Perfecto. Te oigo, I hear you, te oigo.
Okay. Me llamo Lisa. Tengo un hijo
Hijo, bien.
y hermano.
Vale, magnífico. Lisa, ¿cómo se llama tu hermano? ¿Cómo se llama tu hermano?
Se llama
Se llama
Marco.
Bien. ¿Cómo se llama tu hijo? ¿Es hijo o hija?
Hijo.
Hijo. ¿Cómo se llama tu hijo?
Se llama Aaron.
Excelente. Muy bien. Muy bien. Okay. When I worked with 15-year-olds, we would make people physically do this to keep me llamo distinct from se llama. Me llamo. Me llamo.
Llamo.
Me llamo. Se llama. Because you're not talking about yourself anymore. Yeah. See? Se llama. And notice that se llama, it doesn't matter if you're talking about a man or a woman, it's always se llama. Se llama is what we call a verb cluster, a verb phrase. Se llama is a verb. Verbs are not masculine, feminine, okay? Verbs are actions. They are what they are. Se llama talks about one human being. Bien? Okay, perfecto. ¿Alguien más? Holly, you want to give it a try?
Me llamo Holly. Now, I was going to ask you about that. As far as names go, like mine is Holly. I mean,
Holly.
it's still Holly. Okay.
Holly.
Because Kathleen was Kathlina.
Well,
Catalina.
you know what? Holly doesn't specifically translate. We'll come back
Right.
to that in a minute. You go
Okay.
ahead and do your spiel.
Okay. Se llama Marido. Marco.
Marido is a word for husband. Sí.
Mark.
Marco.
Marco.
Okay.
Okay.
Bien. Okay. So now, muy bien. One little thing about names. When I actually go somewhere, I change Marilyn to Marilyn because people look at it in Marilyn. In some Spanish countries, they will Spanishize your name sometimes. So it might become Holly. It might, even though there isn't a translation for Holly.
It's
right?
true. I'm in northern Mexico quite a bit, and they will say my name that way instead of
Holly, well, this is
Mhm.
probably how you're going to expect to hear it. Holly.
Yeah.
Because that Y, that Y comes at the end.
Mhm.
Holly. Holly, ¿cómo estás? ¿Cómo estás, Holly? ¿Qué tal, Holly? Sí. I have a friend whose son, his name is Nelson. When they lived in Spain and he was like 9 years old, they called him Nelson. Okay, we wouldn't say Nelson, but
Mhm.
that's what they did. So they have a tendency to do that, just so that you know. They might choose, if your name is Mark, to
Mhm.
you just say Mark, or to put into Marcos, which they know. They may do either one, depending. But if you have an untranslatable name, they'll probably
Like
just Spanishize it. They'll say, Padmini, they'll look at that, oh, Padmini, they'll say Padmini because to them that's phonetic.
Mhm.
And that is what they would read is what they will say. Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
interestingly, that is like people with non-American accents can actually say my name more correctly than people, because otherwise it becomes Padmini all the time. And I
Oh,
can never get it
Padmini.
correct because they cannot say the It's always
Because
Admin.
Yeah.
Padmini, because we learned to say that word PAD, pad.
Correct.
And listen, guys, if you have difficulty with that, it's because you, from the time you were a baby till you were 2 and started to talk, you were pad, 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 pad. Okay. And that is wired in, and you have to work hard
Yeah.
to
It's really tough.
deprogram your brain. You have to deprogram your brain to do the Spanish, even though it's not hard, but it is because your brain wants to do something else because that is the pattern you're used to. So never feel duh, because no, your brain is wired to think this way. So we just have to reconnect the wires a different way. Okay, magnifico. So I'm going to show you a couple other things. Hicieron bien. You guys did really well, by the way. Let's take a look at a couple more se llamas and identifications. And then we're going to get a little bit into this, the kind of sticky verbs. And the sticky verbs are ser en estar. When we talk about one person, it's se llama. To talk about myself, it's me llamo. To talk about somebody else, it's se llama, right? Not me anymore, but se. It's just what it does. What if I talk about more than one person? I take se llama and I put an N on the end of that llama word. Se llaman.
Se llaman.
Se llaman. So if I talk about more than one, se llaman Blake Lively y Ryan Reynolds. And now not es Blake y es Ryan, son, they are. Oh, son Blake y Ryan. I am taking you baby steps into these words will change. Not se llama with an A at the end. It does have an A, but we tag an N sound on the end of it. Se llaman. Now it's more than one person. Oh, look at what happened. We put an N on the end and it becomes a they are. Son, Blake y Ryan. Bien, ¿entienden? Understand? Those little things that are called verbs like son and se llaman, they will morph and change all the time. They will do some funky kind of things. If we talk, where'd my things go? Oh, I think it disappeared. Okay. I can talk about them singly as se llama Tom Brady. See? Se llama LeBron. Sí, LeBron. I hope I'm spelling that right. Does he do a capitalized LeBron? Se llama LeBron James. So if I talk about them singly, but if I talk about them together as pro athletes, I might say, se llaman Tom Brady. E, that little E thing means and. E LeBron James. Okay. Yeah. So when I make it plural, that happens. Yeah. Okay. We'll come back to that in just a little bit, just so you know, if you talk about more than one person. Okay. A ver. ¿Alguna pregunta? Any question about that so far? No?
No.
No. Okay. Bien. I want to shift gears just a little bit and talk about how we're going to come back to this whole idea of verbs in just a little bit, but we want to talk about something a little more basic. We want to talk about 2 ideas of how to make things people, places, things, that means nouns. Nouns are called, no, people or places or things are called nouns. The part of speech they are is nouns. How to make nouns plural and why nouns have these two genders. And I had asked you, and hopefully you watched this video. She talked about how all things, people, places, things, all things in Spanish have a gender. And that's really easy when you come to humans, you know, men or women, girls or boys, animals, you got to turn them under sometimes and look underneath, but you know, yeah, okay. Easy for that, but you know, things, a piece of paper has its gender, okay? And by the way, they don't think of, okay, well, they may think of, the word for this thing is masculine. It just is, yeah, okay. So obviously this is not a sexed item, but it just falls into the category of a masculine word. The word that represents this physical thing is a masculine word. The word that represents this physical thing is a feminine word. Well, sometimes depends on which region you're in. Okay, so all nouns are masculine or feminine, and certain little clues in the spelling of the word sometimes help. Sometimes, not always. There are lots of exceptions, but they will sometimes help. So I'm going to send you this, so please don't feel I've got to take copious notes, because you don't. But what you should have come away from with that video is that sometimes the last letter of a word gives you a clue as to whether that noun, person, place, or thing, is a feminine noun or a masculine noun. Not a blanket rule. There are many exceptions to the rule. That's what she talks about in the video. But most nouns that end in O, most, but not 100%, wind up being masculine, okay? And notice when we say me llamo, my name is, that word llamo is not a noun. That O on the end of llamo is not a masculine indicator. Llamo is a verb, not a noun. So an O on a verb does not mean the same thing as an O on a noun, okay? But an O on a thing, like libro, a thing, often means masculine. So we have words like libro, bolígrafo, which is another word for this, refresco, which means soft drink, soda, helado, which means ice cream. Those are typical nouns that end in O that are masculine. El libro, el refresco, el bolígrafo, el helado. The way we say the and pair up the word the with a noun is the word el, okay? Many times, but not 100%, many times, words that end in a are going to be feminine many, many, many times, okay? So words like papa, not papa, guys. Papa is daddy, but papa, 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 potato. Papa, puerta, door, silla, chair, música, music, patineta, skateboard. They end in a, they're feminine words. They end in a, they're nouns, things that are feminine. Notice, se llama, name is not a noun. So that a at the end of llama doesn't mean feminine. Verbs are not feminine, masculine, right? Llamo and llama are not masculine, feminine. They are verbs.
Can I ask a question?
Sí, dime.
Well, it kind of confuses me a little bit. The llamo is not a verb. I don't know. It just sounds like it's
Oh, llamo is a verb.
Oh, llamo is a verb. Name
Llamo
is.
is a verb.
I mean, names.
Oh, but llamo doesn't mean name.
No.
Me llamo means my name is. It means oh, here's what it really means, Lisa. It means I call myself.
All right.
I can also say, con mi celular, with my cell phone. Te llamo, I'll call you. Llamo means call.
Yeah. Okay.
So when you're saying me llamo, you're really saying I call myself. Now, the reason we don't translate that, the reason we say my name is that that's how we say that.
And that's nombre.
Yeah, mi
Mi nombre
nombre es, my name is literal a translation. But me llamo is not a literal translation for my name is. I mean, that's just the way we say it in English. It literally means I call myself.
Is nombre then considered masculine?
El nombre, yes, it happens to be a masculine word. It just
Okay.
is. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Does that help you a little bit? See?
Yes. Let's
Okay.
see.
Magnifico. Okay. So, endings for nouns, things tend to be feminine often, but not 100% of the time. But here's something you can take that is 100%. CION, CION, or SION, SION, that's feminine. So nación, canción, estación, nación, nation, canción, song, la, 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 yeah. Estación, a season of the year, or a bus station. For example, por ejemplo, sí, estación de bus, de autobús. Sion, 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 sion means feminine, and that's good to go, okay? Nouns that end in tad or dad, those are feminine. They just are, okay? So sometimes we have little clues on the end of nouns, people, places, things that tell us feminine, masculine, the way they're spelled. But sometimes we don't have a spelling clue. And then you'll just need to get to know whether it's masculine or feminine by hearing it used, okay? And by hearing it used, we're going to see down here. Sometimes you just have to memorize or hear it a bunch of times to know if it's masculine or feminine. So, por ejemplo, for example, these words down here, el mes, el papel, el lápiz, el estudiante, la noche, la tarde. There's no real spelling clue to those nouns to tell you masculine or feminine. But what you will hear is that masculine or feminine word for the. Okay, so el mes, the month, that word the, el. Yeah, you know, you'll hear it uses el mes de noviembre, the month of November. Yeah. El papel, the paper. El is a masculine word for the. Okay. El lápiz, pencil. El lápiz, the pencil. It uses a masculine word for the. El estudiante, and that word estudiante might be el estudiante for a human boy, or la estudiante, same exact word, but using la with it. And then it means the student or girl student. Okay. La noche, por la noche, at night. Por la tarde, in the afternoon. Afternoon and night are feminine words. They just are. We don't have a spelling clue to tell us. But you'll hear people using the el or the la. Okay. Oh, and here are some words that are typical rule breakers. There are exceptions to the rules, words that break the rules, and they just are what they are. You would look at the word dia, it ends in a, you would think it must be la, but it's not. It breaks the rule. El dia, but we use this word dia quite a lot, day. See, el dia, el dia. Dia is a masculine word, even though it ends in a, it's a rule breaker. El agua, well, this gets even worse. Agua actually is a feminine word. It actually is, it ends in a, it is a feminine word, but we can't use la agua because we have la going into another a sound, so it's funky. But here you will hear it expressed as el agua. El agua, it's a phonetic thing. Okay. And some other things like el avión, el camión, but those are not sion. Yeah, they're not sion. They're eon without the S sound. Yeah. Avión, camión. We use those words a lot because we talk about trains and, I'm sorry, not trains, planes and trucks. Yeah. Other little words that often break the rules. El mapa. Mapa ends in an a. We use maps a lot as a tourist, but it's el mapa, right? And la mano, mano ends in o. But it's a feminine word, la mano, it just is. So we have rule breakers. But you know, the rule breakers are like, in a pie chart, they're like 10% of the pie. And if you get it wrong, people just know, oh, you need more experience. So, but I'll send you this. These are some other things that are kind of rule breakers. This little suffix, ista, looks like it's a feminine, and it might be, but it goes both ways. It's both masculine and feminine, but it always stays ista. El dentista means the dentist, a man. La dentista means the dentist, woman. And we use dentista for both the guy and the gal. But we just put an el dentista for the man and a la dentista for the woman. So ista is used for a lot of professions like el artista, el pianista, el dentista, or if we're talking about a woman, we still use ista, but with the other word for the. La artista, la pianista, la dentista. So know that ista, to talk about a profession, always stays that same suffix, ista, no matter who it talks about. And there are some other little rule breakers here with the ma words that come from Greek. You're not going to know they come from Greek. You don't know that. I don't even, but there are certain words that are ma words that happen to be el, masculine words. El tema, a topic or theme. El clima, climate or weather. El poema, poem. El problema. People say no problema. Boo. Problema, bad. It's problema, but it is el problema. El problema. El problema. So you'll have these little rule breakers. They're kind of the NBDs of life. NBD, no big deal. If you get it wrong, you'll hear it often enough that it eventually will click. Okay, bien? We're good with that so far? Okay, so all things, even though it seems very strange that this thing, in some countries they call this la pluma, in other countries they call this el bolígrafo. You know, the word is masculine or feminine. The thing itself is not masculine or feminine because it's not a human being or an animal, right? Bien? Okay? Bien? So we've got that little hurdle. We're also going to look at this idea of plurals, how we make things plural. You had another little video on how we make things plural. We're going to actually practice how to make things, nouns, people, places, things, plural. Okay? We're going to take a look at that. And this won't take like huge practice because we do similar things in English. So your English will actually be a help here. Okay? These are the three ways we make nouns plural. There are three ways, and that's it. Okay. And which one of these three ways you make a noun plural depends on, does the word end in a vowel, a, e, I, o, u, or does it end in a consonant, any other letter? And then this teeny tiny thing about the letter Z, which is an NBD, big time, a no big deal, because you're not going to be spelling anything, right? You'll be saying it. It'll sound the same. That this Z to C and add ES is a spelling rule. So the sound is exactly the same as this second ES rule. Okay, so we've got an example. Italiano, Italian man becomes Italianos. Yeah. Inglés, English man becomes ingleses. I have to add an ES. The last letter is an S. I have to add an ES to make it plural. English people, like in the tour group, maybe, yeah? Ingleses. Lapis, because it ends in a Z, is a spelling thing. We change the Z to a C first, and then we add ES. So it becomes lapises. But notice, lapis ends with a S sound. So when you add an ES, it sounds the same, lapises. That Z going to a C is just a spelling change. The sound is the same, okay? We're gonna do a few of these. Just get a hang of it, okay? Escritor does not end in A, E, I, O, U. It ends in a consonant. Escritor means writer. How do we make it writers? How would we do that?
An asshole man.
Yes,
Yeah, escritores.
yes.
Escritores. Yeah, escritores. Let's look at the word alemán, which means German
Alemán.
man, a German guy. Alemán.
Alemanes.
Alemanes, perfecto. Okay, let's look at mexicano. It ends in a vowel. Oh, Mexican guys,
Mexicanos.
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 Los mexicanos, the Mexican people. Okay, let's look
X
at
is silent.
luz, which means a light.
Luces.
Luces,
Luces.
yeah, luces. Let's look at a profession, piloto, pilot, piloto.
Pilotos.
Pilotos, wow, this is easy. Let's look for Dutch lady, holandesa, becomes
Holandesas.
holandesas, yeah. Let's look for the word for judge, juez,
Jueces.
Jueces.
jueces. It does this CES thing, but you know, it's a Z with
Jueces.
ES and yeah, C, okay? Jueces. Let's look at bicicleta, ends in a vowel.
Bicicletas.
Yes.
Bicicletas. Let's look at estudiante, ends in a vowel.
Estudiantes.
Estudiantes, bien. Let's look at dólar, a dollar bill.
Dólares.
Dólares. Yeah,
Dólares.
yeah. Let's look
Dólares.
at mesa. Mesa means a table. Mesa becomes
Mesas.
mesas. Bien. Let's look at hospital.
Hospitals.
Hospitales.
Hospitales,
Hospitales.
hospitals. Let's look at bar, place where you go to
Bares.
drink.
Bares.
Bares. El bar. El bar, los
Los
bares.
bares.
El bar, los bares. Bien? Okay?
Bien.
Okay. Vale. Muy bien. I am going to share with you one little extra thing to make sure that you understand this, because I'm going to send you with some homework to do on this thing of plurals. Okay, I'll show you what it looks like previously. Here's the thing to remember. This idea of plurals and masculine and feminine starts to come together. The way we say the shifts off into 4 words. Oh, shoot. The is either el or la or los or las. El is for a masculine, one thing. La is for a feminine, one thing. Los is for masculine, but plural. Las is for is for feminine, but plural. Okay? So, el padre, la madre, los padres, las madres, like that. All those words, el, la, los, las mean the, but you pair it up with the noun according to the gender and whether it's one thing or more than one, yeah? So the will become el, la, los, or las. But the is like a specific article, the father, the mother, a specific one. It's called a definite article. It means a specific one. Sometimes we use an article that is non-specific. And in English, that means or an. And in the plural, we change that to the idea of some. Yeah. A father, a mother, some parents, some mothers are lenient, some fathers are strict, that kind of idea, right? A or some cannot be el, la, los, or las. Okay? A and or some becomes un for masculine, una for feminine, unos for some, masculine, unas for feminine, okay? So we often pair up a noun with a definite article to say the sister, the brother, the sisters, the brothers, or a sister, a brother, some brothers and sisters. So these are going to be the words. These are indefinite articles. Un, una, unos, unas, and definite articles. El, la, los, or las. Okay? Bien?
Yeah.
Bien? Good so far? Okay. I'm going to show you what I will ask you to do for homework as part of your homework. Uy, ¿dónde está? Where'd it go? And you'll get this in the email. I'm going to ask you to, and this will be easier to read. Let's make it a little bigger. And I've color keyed this. Change the noun to the plural form. So the first step is just take the noun, make it more than one. Okay, so mes, month, becomes meses, months, more than 1 month. And then I'm going to ask you to put in the little category. I'm going to ask you to take meses and make that whole thing plural. Unos meses, some months, and los meses, the months. And I give you the examples. So año, you're going to make it plural. Un año means a year. I want you to make it some years. El año means the year. I'm going to want you to make it plural. Los años. Get the idea? See?
Mm-hmm.
So what I have in the color coding is what you're going to be doing. The color coding parts are what you're going to be doing. But some of these words, you know, animal, you might not know, masculine. Oh, un animal, you automatically know it's a masculine word, an animal. And look, in English, we have to say an animal. We don't say a animal. Well, people do, but they make a mistake, yeah. Un animal, el animal. You're going to be making all those things plural. Does that make sense to you? You're going to be changing things into plural. Just the noun by itself first, the blue part, and then the some months, the months. You're going to be doing that. And we'll look at the corrections next week. Make sense? See?
See.
See? Bien? Okay. So I will send that off to you. You're going to be doing that to see if you can do that. If you need, and I'll pair that up in the email with the the video on plurals one more time so that you get a feel for that, because she talks about those words el and la all together. Bien? So we've got all of that. Okay. ¿Alguna pregunta? Any question on those ideas? Sí o no? No?
No.
No. Okay. We're going to go into a brief, really brief introduction. Brief introduction. I'm going to make sure I've got the right screen here.
And then next chapters will
Well,
be-
do read ahead to the next chapter. Yes, do read ahead to the next chapter, which is chapter 3, but it's going to start to get pretty.
Numbers.
I'm going to tell you, read from the beginning up to page 44. Well, yeah. 39 to 44. I want you to focus on numbers, not all numbers. Man, that's too big. Numbers like 1 through 30. Okay.
Okay.
And I'll give you a video on that because, you know, you want to hear how those sound. And the ways we say I am, you are, he is, she is, because we're going to be pairing up what we call subject pronouns, which means they're little words that tell who the person is, with a special verb. And I'm going to show you the preview of that idea here. And the preview is this. And don't take any notes because you're going to get the same thing. You can print it out. Ooh. So there are 2 verbs that mean to be. Like I am, there are 2 ways to say it. Oh, shoot. You are, there are going to be 2 ways to say it. He is or she, oh no. Oh my God. This is going to get, but we're going to take it baby steps. We're going to take the first verb that means to be, which is ser. Ser means to be. Not I am, to be. We have to change it to get to the to the I am part. Okay. And this is what we call our very irregular verb. Ser is used to identify people. That's what you did today. He's my son, he's my husband, she's my daughter, she's my sister, is my sister. We're identifying. Ser is used to identify who somebody is by tagging a name on them or saying, this is my relationship with this person. Okay. First, we need to know what are the subject pronouns? Who are the human beings we're going to be talking about when we use this verb ser? And the subject pronouns are yo, I, tú, the friendly you. Yeah. El, notice with an accent mark, it sounds the same as el for the word the. I know. El with an accent mark changes the meaning of the word to he. He, él, he, ella, she, usted, you formal. Él, ella, and usted all fall into a category we call third person singular. It means we're talking about one human being. And él, ella, usted, they mean different human beings, but we will always use the same kind of verb with those 3 human beings. You follow me so far? For forevermore, él, ella, and usted, whenever we're talking about those 3 kinds of people, they will always share and use the same kind of verb. They will not use the same verb that yo uses. They will not use the same verb form that tú uses. They're all going to separate out into different verb forms. And these are all singular. Yo is one person, right? Tú is one person. Él or ella or usted is one person. These are all singular pronouns. And the plural pronouns are going to be nosotros, we. Nosotros means yo is in the group. It means yo and I have people with me. We, nosotros, is the same thing as Juanita y yo. Mi familia y yo means the same thing as nosotros. It means I have people with me. It's plural, okay? Vosotros, you don't have to know. It's the plural of tú. It's only used in Spain. Just know that it's out there. And here's third person, plural. Ellos means they. Either a mixed sex or group or all guys. Ellas means they, but it's got to be all gal. No mix. Ustedes means you guys. Plural, you. Ellos, ellas, ustedes are not the same human beings, but they are all plural groups. Ellos, ellas, ustedes will always use the same kind of verb. Okay? These are going to be plural verb groups. For ser, here are the ways we say I am, you are, he is, we are, they are. Soy is I am. Soy, I am. We only use it with yo to mean yo. People will frequently, and most of the time, drop the word yo. In English, you can't say, I'm going now. Well, you can, but it sounds wrong. In Spanish, you do say, am going now. People drop the yo most of the time. Eres is how we say you are in a friendly way. Eres. People drop the tú because eres only matches up with one human being, and that's tú. You're addressing somebody. Es talks about one person, is. Es means is. Okay, it's pretty close to is, es. Es talks about one human being. She is, or he is, or the formal you is. Usted es. That's how they say it, okay? And the plural of I is going to be we are. We don't say we am. No. Somos only matches up with nosotros. So people will skip the nosotros. When you see it in parentheses, the thing in parentheses is usually not said. They'll just use the verb by itself because they can. Somos means we are. They don't need the word we. It's just somos. Sois is what they use in Spain for the plural of tú. Just so you know, we won't be using that because Latin America does not use this verb. And for plural, they or you guys are or they are will be son. Did you notice what happened with se llaman when I talked about LeBron and Tom Brady? Se llaman with an N. Look what letter is hanging off the end of that. It's an N. An N on the end of a verb means, ooh, more than one person. More than one person, just so you know. Okay, bien, so that's your little introduction. Chapter 3 will show you a chart with all these verbs. Bien, we're good with that so far? These have to be memorized, sadly, because they're irregular verbs. They don't, but look what happens. English, to be. We don't say I be, you be, he be happy. He be my son. Nope. Yeah. Be is very irregular in English too. So I am doesn't look like be. You are doesn't sound like be. He is doesn't sound like be. So irregular in English, irregular in Spanish. Oh, shoot. I got to memorize them. So soy, eres, es, somos, son. And we'll practice on that a lot with visual stuff for you to hear the examples over and over next week. Make sense? See?
Yes.
Bien? Okay. And I will probably send you with a little extra video on I, which doesn't mean I am or you are, but just there are. It just talks about things exist, just to give you some more vocabulary. Okay, bien. And that verb I won't ever change. It's always I, whether you're talking about one thing or 100 things, it's always I. But I'll send you a little fun video that shows how we use I to just talk about stuff that's around us. Bien, okay? Todo bien? All good?
Okay.
Gracias.
Bien, bien, de nada. And bien, 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 bien. Yeah, some people had to leave a little bit and I went over, so I'm sorry. Disculpen, excuse me. Okay, todo bien? All good?
Sí.
Bien,
Gracias.
fantástico. You'll get your email later on today with the link to this recording if you need to listen to something again, and all of the links for all the notes that you need so you don't have to write any stuff down. Fantástico. Nos vemos el mar. Oh, wait, yeah. Let me know. Do email me if you want to meet next Tuesday. We're not scheduled to meet, but I am very happy to do a class next week, Tuesday, but it's got to be like an all in because I'm not going to
I
say
can't come.
You can't. Okay. All right. That's all right. Yeah, then we'll just, that's okay. Gracias. Thank you for telling me that. And we'll just schedule something extra that'll follow a little bit later then. Bien?
Bien.
I may schedule a little thing for you to watch just for fun. Yeah? Bien?
Sí.
That you can plug into. But that'll be it. Okay. Todo bien, todo bien. All
Okay.
good. Nos
Gracias.
vemos el...
Nos vemos.
Nos
Hasta
vemos
luego.
el 30.
Hasta luego.
Sí, el 30. We'll see you on the 30th. Okay, hasta luego.
Hasta luego.
Luego. Gracias.
Adiós. Bien.
Adiós.